Our next session, we have a fireside chat with Leah McGowen-Hare and Cynthia Hill. Cynthia Hill, again, is the co-leader of the Oakland Salesforce Saturdays group and a founding team member for Oaktown Dreamin'. And I'll let Cynthia introduce Leah. Are you there, Cynthia?
Yes, I'm here.
And do we have Leah?
I'm here.
All right, can you share your camera? There we go. All right, I'm going to stop sharing mine and let you two take it away.
Hi, Cynthia.
Hey, Leah, how you doing?
I am blessed. No complaints.
I want to say thank you again for taking the time to chat with me.
No worries.
Okay, first question. Through the leading, excuse me, through the Leading Through Changes series, you have interviewed a number of talented, influential people who are leading the change through their industry. You also had a fireside chats with Trevor Noah, Shaquille O'Neal, Venus Williams, and Jennifer Hudson. How did those opportunities come about?
Um, well, let me think about that and take a step back. So a lot of those opportunities came about because I I was prepared for them, and I don't mean that in a very complicated way, but I think the thing is when you kind of put yourself in a position where you're like, I'm not above any work. There's nothing I won't do around work when it comes to supporting the team, supporting the company mission. And, when those opportunities came about, it was, yes, I have the ability and I have a talent for conversation and presenting, but I also have strong work ethics. And I'm a team player, I can definitely say, to the T. So I think all of that combined together, helps you create a track record for when opportunities come about and they think, who would be great at this? Oh, Leah, and she's great to work with, and she's easy to work with, or whatever the case is. And I'll never forget when I saw Obama speak, he said two things. He said, make sure you add value and you're kind. Like those are two things that will carry you far. Like that you're doing something that's adding value and you're kind, that you're easy to work with, that you are a team player. And I think those two things, heavy work ethics, easy to work with, will carry you far and will create opportunities for you. Because truth be, I didn't go after these. They came to me and I was like, yeah, I would love to. What an honor. So I think just staying grounded in gratitude, not being above any work, like, oh, I don't do that. Absolutely not. I do coffee runs for keynotes and I'm in those keynotes and I'm like, all right, coffee run, who needs what? Just being that team player and knowing it's not about you, it's about the team, but more importantly, it's about the mission. And I really do evaluate that in every opportunity that comes to me. And I think, is this aligned to the values that I truly believe at my core? Is this aligned to the mission that I see as a greater good? Because listen, you ain't got to eat apple pie from everybody that brings apple pie to you. You know what I'm saying? That's an old grandmother saying, right? Every opportunity that comes doesn't mean you just have to take it if it isn't aligned with what you believe, if that makes sense.
Yes, that makes perfect sense. Did you have a fangirl moment during any of those chats?
Did I have a fangirl moment? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Every time. Thank goodness for green rooms, even virtual green rooms where I'm like, okay, let me just get my fangirl out. And they're really, all of these different people are just human beings and are very humble, very kind. I, knock on wood, have never encountered any celebrity, I don't even like that word, celebrity or, high visible person, whether it's in corporate America or wherever, that was not a decent human being. Thank goodness I have not had that encounter.
Just speaking of fangirl moment, I remember the first time I heard you speak. I had just actually started my journey in Salesforce back in June of 2017. And I was in JVS doing the administration training. And my very first Salesforce event was Trailhead DX. And so I remember walking, I was already overwhelmed just about the vibe and how everyone was so friendly. And so then I went and sat in the keynote and they introduced you. And I was just in shock of like, wow, that's somebody that looks like me on that stage. on that stage that looks like me. So I had that moment where I was just in shock because I've been in tech for almost 10 years at that time. And that was really the first time I saw someone that looked like me on that stage and had the audience attention.
Girl,
so
you
I
were
had
supposed to be making me cry up in here. This was not part of the contract.
And then also I remember you said you had some new shoes on and you told the person that working the camera, you say, put the camera on my shoes. And you asked the audience, do you like my shoes? And they was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, go girl in the back, like you can really hear me. And you like, yeah, I'm about to work these things. And you kind of walking around. So that was really my first time. And then I got to actually meet you at Dreamforce. And so that was just an honor to really meet you.
Thank you. When you said that, I was like, I don't remember saying that, girl. I'll be on the stage and I get prayed up before I step on any stage and say, God, please watch the words that come out of my mouth. Well, I remember meeting you too. And I remember what came so clear to me was your enthusiasm for learning and wanting to do. Like, you were persistent. You put time on my schedule. You were like, I want to learn, I want to grow. And those are the attributes that I truly honor in anybody, you know, regardless of the career path they're going, whether it's Salesforce or not, but it's putting in the hard work and being committed and consistent. And I remember that clearly about you.
Oh, thank you. Now you're gonna make me cry.
Good. Back at
you. I've heard you speak about your the different transitions you had during your journey. Being as starting as being a consultant at Anderson, which is now Accenture, developer at People Software, project manager, technical trainer, and now VP. Was there a time where you thought to yourself that your path could lead you to a VP position?
Girl, absolutely not. I just won an award from the Oakland Bay Area chapter of 100 Black women, and I had to record my acceptance speech. And in there, I said, you know, remember the book, Oh, the Places You'll Go? Well, that was me when I entered corporate America, you know, shoes on my feet, brains in my head, and absolutely no plan. I did not come from a family that worked in corporate America. My parents were educators. My mother was a teacher. My father was a professor. I was new to this landscape. So there wasn't anyone who could really guide me from my trusted circle, which, you know, entering the workforce was my family. Nobody had known that landscape. So it was all very, very brand new to me. So I did not have aspirations to become an executive. I didn't even know what that looked like. I was very linear in my thinking. I was like, okay, I have a computer science degree, so I'm going to do coding. And this was long before there was a tech industry. Nobody could understand what I did. And I remember always using the analogy, because one of my projects in undergrad was creating an ATM machine in, I want to say Lisp. I can't remember the language. Anyway, so I used to tell people, you know how you go to an ATM and you get money out where there's code behind that? That's sort of what I do. Like, that's what I had to explain to people in terms of technology. So coming in, I just thought I'd be, okay, a developer, let's just see where this goes. I stayed open to opportunity. And once again, I never thought I was above any work, even when sometimes I knew I was smarter than my superiors. But I always stayed open to opportunity, and I stayed learning and growing. And there was a time where I thought, I came into the role of a technical trainer, and I thought, this is my path. This is where I'm supposed to be. It makes sense. I come from educators. I'm a teacher. This is what I do. And I really thought this is where I was supposed to stay. But thank goodness for mentors and sponsors, people like Adam Sigelman and Sarah and Nelly Borrero. All these people contributed to helping me, you know, have a bigger vision for myself. And, you know, I have a dear mentor, Robin, who would always push me to think differently. Like, why wouldn't you be up there? And it was honestly Sarah who put me on the first big stage. Cause they asked me to do this developer keynote, and I had no idea what it was at the time. I was like, all I knew were classrooms where I taught. And I was like, sure, whatever. Then when I understood what it was, I literally tried to back out of it. And I'll never forget, gentleman Jacob was on the team. He was very gracious. He was like, yeah, no, you're going to do this, when I was trying to back out of it. So it was having wonderful people in my life that helped me have a bigger vision for myself. But it was, mentors, sponsors of the people that are in the room where it happens and I'm not there, right? But they're advocating for me. And all of that combined helped me and continue to help me navigate this landscape. But as I'm doing this, I'm making sure I'm always, and hear me on this, lifting as I climb. There is no reason for me to be walking through doors and closing them. So I tell people, I may walk in my purpose through these doors, but I'm going to continue to keep them open, because there is absolutely no reason I should be the only woman, the only Black woman, the only Black person in these rooms. Listen, I've been in these rooms and I know there is room for everyone, but we have to be diligent and continuing to lift as we climb. I know that was a long answer, but girl, I got lots.
I can relate, because I'm used to being the only, and being in tech, the only female, or sometimes the only Black, and then sometimes only Black and female in a room. So I know I'm taking that message home. I'm helping others to get in.
That's not acceptable anymore.
Okay. We all had to make adjustments because of the pandemic, but as a leader who is also a woman of color, where do you find your strength to, I'm struggling with this question, to lead during the circumstance, we just found out about the Breonna Taylor case, just everything that's going on. How do you find strength to lead?
God, my faith, this pandemic has really tested my faith. We all say, oh yeah, I believe, and I walk in whatever, your faith may be. But it's truly, this is the time that it gets tested. It's easy to say those things when life is great. But when you start getting sucker punched every day, when you look at the news from African Americans are disproportionately killed by COVID-19, to George Floyd, to Jacob Blake, to, the list goes on. And it's like, I have to check myself, because I keep saying, you say you walk in faith. This is the time that you need to walk in faith if this is truly what you believe. But this is hard. I'm not going to lie. This is some real ish, like to get up and get that grind. Like, how do you get up when you see something like a Breonna Taylor, the case of that? And I'm going to get a little emotional, but I had to stop normalizing it, because you hear those things, right? And your survival mechanism is just to not pay attention, normalize it, and keep it moving. But when I really allowed myself to sit with what that decision said to me, it said to me, Black people, Black women's lives are of no value. They're no more value than the drywall has more value. And for that, it was triggering all of these insecurities that you are raised in this world, in America, as a Black woman. You're not good enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not this enough. All of that stuff becomes surfaced when you hear these things, because yes, you got people saying, I am so sorry, that's not true, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But when you have a world, when you have a society telling you something else on larger scales, it is a hard thing to justify or to even make rational in your brain. And this is what I struggle with. So for me, the motivation has to be, I have to let these feelings come up, because the more I push them down, they're going to re-manifest themselves in some way or form or other. So I really have to bring it up so that I can be a better person and deal with these and be there for others. Because if I don't deal with it in my own way and really make sense of it for me, whatever that is, how can I make myself available to others? And I have to. I have children. I made a choice to bring children into this world. I have a responsibility, first and foremost, to my family, to ensure that I am as whole as possible and that I continue to walk in my faith. I will not give up the superpower of hope, right? So I know that's a long process about how do I continue, but I am working it out just like everybody else. And I am trying to stay strong in my faith, walking in faith and not in fear, because I can't afford to. I've got family, I've got community, I've got loved ones that I want to be there for. So even if I can't be there for myself, sometimes it's easier to be there for other people. And then, you know, it's kind of like that fake it till you make it. And then you start to see the strength of other people and you too begin to rise with them.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Because there's some days where I just don't feel like it. I just can't deal.
It's
But
hard. It's real. And never make that feel less than what you feel. It's real.
okay, just to lighten up the mode. In addition to being a wife, a mother, a VP, a mentor, and a friend, you are now wearing a new hat because of distant learning, teacher's assistant. How's that going for you?
Girl. I think the teachers are about to have a teacher protest. We're about to go out. I'm underpaid for this role. It is hard work. And I have kids and I come from a space of privilege. I am so grateful to be able to work from home, have access to technology so my kids can continue schooling. And I'm blessed in so many ways. And by no means do I ever take those things for granted. But I also acknowledge this stuff is hard. Like making sure my kids are on task. And I have older children. So, you know, my twins are 12 and then I have my college son home who's actually doing like business and computer science. So he'll come to me when he's got some Java questions and I'm trying to help him, you know, figure that out, or database questions. And my kids will come in and be like, oh, my teacher, this and that in the middle of the day. And I'm trying to like finish out, you know, budgets or whatever the case is. It's a lot to balance. And once again, acknowledge my privilege and I'm grateful to be it. But there is a lot to balance. And I think part of it is you got to figure out how to fit in self-care in there. Because if you're constantly trying to give from an empty cup, it's not going to help. But I'll tell you one thing, definitely turning off the news has served me well, because sometimes ignorance is bliss. Because when you're carrying that energy along trying to balance all your responsibilities, it gets heavy. So finding self-care. And for me, that is starting my day in prayer, meditation, first and foremost. I'm like, okay, I got to, you know how you got to get suited up. I'm like, I got to get prayed up. Protect me as I move through this day. Let me continue to be blessed and a blessing to all I cross paths with. That's what I always start my day with.
Oh, well, Leah, I just want to say thank you again for taking the time to sit here and chat with me. I really appreciate it. And like I said, thank you for taking me on your wings.
Blessings. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cynthia and Leah. Wow, that was really incredible, really inspiring.
That was inspiring and awesome. This two powerhouse Black girl magic just gave it to us in the real. They gave it raw, and they gave the encouraging thing about self-care, prayer, and just giving it all to the raw. Thank you so much, Leah, and also Cynthia. That was awesome.
I'm having my own fanboy moment here.
Right?
That chat was on fire. Fireside
Yes,
chat
it
was on fire.
Yes, it
All
was.
right. So I know we're moving. We're a little bit behind schedule.